Welcome to Focus on Root to Rise. So have you heard myself or other yoga teachers use that expression, root to rise or root down to rise up? You can kind of think of a tree, right? A tree roots down, and the further it roots down, the higher it can climb. Most species, not all, but most species, the further down they have their roots, the higher their branches can climb. And that's twofold. One is that it reaches the taproot or the main root of the tree, reaches down, boring through rock and clay and silt, and can find anchoring. So to find that stability, that support. And then the side roots then reach down and drop nutrients. So when we think of the term root to rise, we are reaching down into what grounds us and what brings us sustenance or nutrients. So whenever I bring this concept to class, I always invite you to think about what in your life helps you to feel rooted. What are the practices, people, communities that you lean into when you're feeling scattered or overwhelmed that help you come back into center? It could be a regular meditation practice. That's a really great one. When I'm not meditating, I feel the difference. When I come back in, I feel the difference. When I feel overwhelmed, there's certain people that I can reach out to and say, I'm feeling overwhelmed, and they can just hold space for me so beautifully. So that's one, is to invite yourself to, or it's a reminder, sometimes we don't need reminders, to enlist in those practices. Call that friend. Oh, right, I don't have to struggle alone. Oh, right, I haven't done my practice in a while. It could be Qigong or martial arts, or it could be gardening or and cooking, something that brings you a groundedness and anchoring into your life so that you can rise up out of challenge, so that you can extend your branches and bear fruits. So that's what that idea kind of represents or offers. So it also helps us in our physical practice or asana practice. So when we root down, we can lengthen the spine. A lot of times people come to chair yoga, they have spinal issues and they're looking to correct them or improve the health of their spine, even as a preventative measure. So when you root down, rise up, it's almost like someone's stretching your spine like taffy, right? When you can get that anchoring. So let's find that a little bit. And that also can help you not only lengthen your spine, but it can also help you recruit, you'll recruit your core muscles too, but the leg muscles to help you come back to center when you've gotten off center, kind of like in the example I just used before. So yoga is multi-layered if you haven't noticed already. So let's check out the physical root to rise. So starting in seated mountain, align everything like we normally would, right angles at hips and knees, and feet are about hips width distance apart. Sitting up tall, we're going to hinge forward and just lift your toes. You'll feel an arch lifting in your feet, and you'll feel the four corners of your foot, the base of the big toe and little toe at the ball mound and either side of the heel. And those are the kind of the four corners. So pressing down, rise up, and then just soften the toes. And I notice that you can't see them off camera, so we'll come to the side, and then you'll see the counter lift in the spine too. So lifting toes, pressing into the four corners. Watch what happens to my spine. Whoop, lines it right up, and then soften, release the toes. So as you're doing that, make sure you're feeling the muscle hugging to bone on your legs and not any tenderness in the joints. Always listening for those signs from your body that say, oh, thank you. Or go ahead, that feels good. So lift the toes, press into the four corners, and then we're going to lift the shoulders, inhale, and then exhale, shoulders back and down, soften your toes. And just notice that when you do that, that aligns your posture. It opens up the rib cage so you can take a deeper breath. The lungs can expand more, and your heart is more available. So even try this, right? Feel emotionally kind of closed off and small. I feel kind of small here. But when you root to rise, inhale, shoulders up. Exhale. Oh, I feel nice and open and available and energized. Energy is even flowing better. So you can use this root to rise when you're sitting. You can root to rise to stand, and then you can use it in standing postures too. So I'm going to show you with the back of the chair here. I'm going to show you in tree pose because it really is illustrated really well in tree pose. So we're going to start in mountain, and I'm going to offer this energetic shift to start with because sometimes when we're used to moving, if we're just in a still point for a moment, we feel like we have to be doing something. And you can kind of go inward to see what to do or awarenesses to bring. So find your mountain, lift up the spine. So you feel everything aligned, knees over ankles, hips over knees, shoulders over hips, palms face your thighs. And you can notice if your palms are facing forward, that's going to be a red flag for your posture that you need to work on that, right? So that's a good test for that. I did a class on posture if you want to check that out. Root down, rise up, lengthen, and soften. So take a moment. It looks like we're just standing here, right? But what's happening within? Reach the tailbone down. Imagine there's roots growing down your feet into the earth. Notice if that changes the quality of your awareness. At the same time, reach up through the crown of the head and see if you can feel branches reaching up to the sky. Do you notice an energetic shift? And just soften. Feel both reaching in opposite directions, down below the floor and up through the crown, up through the ceiling. And just soften. So it can elongate your spirit body, right? Your energy body as well, which can work out kinks sometimes, can be helpful. So now from this conscious, grounded, elongated mountain, let's come into tree. So holding onto the chair, holding onto the hip, we're starting in a mountain, and then we're going to shift weight a little bit. We're just going to ease on in. Coming over to the right leg, you're going to bend the left knee and open it out to the side, right? So foot is in ankle or shin. We'll keep it there. So notice if you're sinking into that hip, root to rise, root down, rise up, whoops. Lengthening, so even physically, energetically feel tall, finding that focal point, and then maybe reaching one branch. Maybe reaching the other, root down, rise up, lengthen your spine. And then on your next exhale, you're going to bring your hands down through center and all the way down. Gently bring the knee forward, lower the foot down, step wide and release. So you can see how you can enlist root to rise in your tree. And I think we have to do the other side. So you can either turn yourself around or come to the other side with the chair. Start with your mountain, reach down, rise up. Breathe, find your focal point. And then shift side to side, holding on where you need to. And then shift to the left, pause, bend the right knee, open it out to the side. Right foot to left ankle or shin, and then root down, rise up. You can even feel the weight lifting up out of the hip, almost like someone's got a string on the top of your head and you're getting nice and tall. If it feels okay, reach one branch up. If it feels okay, lift both. Root down, rise up, lengthen. Lower the hand if it feels like too much. Take one more soft breath here. And then lower your hands. Bring the knee forward, lower the foot, and step wide. Soften the hips, circle them out. So you can feel the root to rise. So when you hear someone say root to rise in a yoga class, it's because they want you to find that groundedness to lengthen. And then, things like warrior, root down, rise up, lengthen. There's different parts that are rooting down, rising up. With the arm lifted, you're rooting down through the shoulder blade, rising up through the fingers, right? Rooting down through the tailbone, rising up through the crown. Lots of places where you can find that oppositional stretch to lengthen and make space for the energy to flow. And then root down, rise up, hinge forward. And then rooting down can help you come back up when you're coming from center, off center and lower. So if you hear that root to rise, it's that lengthening, it's that elongating, it's finding stability and nourishment. So you can find your tallest, healthiest self. So I hope that you found this helpful. Please leave something in the comments if you did. And check out my Patreon page if you'd like to have full-length classes. As always, with all of these focus on videos, there's always a full-length class that focuses on that theme for the week. So I hope you found it helpful, and I hope that you can find your tallest, most rooted to rised self.